Hi guys. So today we're going to continue our conversation about basic trigonometric ratios. And before we get into some examples, I want to ask you a question. And my question is why? Why does this even work? Why do these ratios exist? And if you're having a hard time answering that question, it might be helpful for you to think about the two triangles I've drawn here. Oh, sorry. The two triangles I've drawn here both have 30, 60, 90 angles in them. So why is it that their ratios turn out to be the same? So think about that and see if you can respond to that question in your summary on your whisk. We will talk about that in class tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to work some examples with you to help you understand other ways that we can use trigonometry to find missing sides. So we're going to start by finding the missing side on this triangle. I know that you know how to do this with 30, 60, 90 triangles. But what we want to do is be able to do this on any right triangle. So what if it was 31 and 59 instead of 30 and 60? How would that work? So I'm going to show you something you already know how to do to help you understand how to do something different. Okay, so I'm going to pick this 30-degree angle to be my theta, to be the one that I'm comparing to. I could use the 60. You get to pick in this one because they told you both of them. Okay, so I told you we're going to use SOHCAHTOA, and that's what I'm thinking about here is SOHCAHTOA. So compared to the theta, the x is the opposite side, and the 25 is the hypotenuse. So when I look at SOHCAHTOA, which one of these things has O and H in it? Well, there's only one. It's this one. That tells me that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write sine of 30 degrees, sine of my angle, is my opposite side, which is x, over my hypotenuse, which is 25. Now we're trying to find x. Well, the rules for finding x haven't changed. So when I want to find x and I've got x divided by something, I still need to multiply by that thing to isolate the x. So I have 25 sine 30 degrees. This is multiplication. They don't usually write the little multiplication symbol between there. Just writing it right next to it means multiply. And that's going to equal x. So the last step is to punch this in my calculator and see what I get. Let's find, there's my calculator. All right, so we're going to do 25 times 30's sine. On my calculator on my computer, when I do this, I have to hit enter right there to get 12.5. On some of them, you have to press enter twice. It gives you like a middle answer, and then it gives you the final answer. So you're just going to have to figure out how your phone works. On our Inspire calculators, you can type it in exactly like it looks on your paper, and it will give you the correct answer as long as you're in degree mode. So be sure that you check that if you're getting weird answers. Okay, so I got 12.5 equals x. And that makes sense because this is a 30, 60, 90, and I know the short leg should be half of the hypotenuse. Okay, example 2. I'm comparing everything in example 2 to this 55-degree angle. So I'm going to use SOHCAHTOA. Compared to the 55 degrees, the x side is the touching one, so it's adjacent. And the 10 is the hypotenuse of the triangle. So I have adjacent and hypotenuse. So that's going to be cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So for this problem, I need to write cosine of 55 degrees equals x over 10. And again, I can get the x by itself, just a little bit of algebra 1. Multiply both sides by 10. So 10 cosine 55 degrees equals x. So this is what needs to go in my calculator, 10 times the cosine of 55. So 10 times 55's cosine. And when I push enter, it tells me 5.73. We're going to round to the tenths here. In your homework, it tells you specifically what to round to, so be sure you pay attention to that. You wouldn't want to get bad answers just because you rounded. So 5.7 equals x. And in my picture, that seems to make sense because the hypotenuse has to be the longest side. All right, example 3. We did a sine, we did a cosine. If you were a betting person, wouldn't you say that this one's probably the one that's going to use tangent? Let's see why. If I'm thinking about this 40-degree angle, the x is the side touching it. The 36 is the leg away from it. So I have adjacent and I have opposite. So that's why this one is going to be tangent, because tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so I'm going to write tangent 40 degrees equals opposite is 36 and adjacent is x. This kind of question is the one that students tend to struggle with the most because the x is in the denominator. Don't let that freak you out, guys. It's not a big deal because we can think about this just like a proportion and we can do our cross products. Ooh, sorry. We can do our cross products. So that makes this no big deal. So I'm going to say x times tangent 40 degrees equals 36 times 1, which is just plain old 36. So now to isolate x, this is multiplication. That tells me I need to divide by whatever the tangent of 40 is. And that's just a number. I don't know what number it is, but it's just a number that I'm going to punch in my calculator. So x is 36 divided by the tangent of 40. So let's see. Clear. 36 divided by 40's tangent. And again, I have to push enter to get my final answer, 42.9. So x is 42.9. And when I look at my picture, 42.9, that seems like a reasonable answer, that one side would be 36 and another one would be about 43. Not too bad. All right, the last one, they ask us to find the perimeter. Well, that shouldn't be a big deal because if I know an angle and I know one side, I can find the other sides. No big deal. So let's see. 85, that's like the hypotenuse of this triangle. And I've got the 42. And I need to find this side. So let's see, the x touches it. So I'm going to do cosine, because I'm thinking about SOHCAHTOA. I have adjacent and hypotenuse. Cosine of 42 is x over 85. And solving that's going to tell me this side. Then I'm going to turn around and say, okay, now I need to know y. And y is opposite from my angle. So I'm going to have S and H. So I'm going to say sine of 42 equals y over 85. Once I know x and y, I'll find the perimeter by adding up all those sides. So my perimeter will be 2x's plus 2y's. Okay, I'm going to leave that one for you to try. And you can check your response in class, and I will see you tomorrow.